All right, ladies and gentlemen, on my reading circle audience, my guest this morning is Drixxon. That's Drixxon, Kyser, Kyser. And he's the founder and CEO. Now, mind you, listen to this now. That's why I had him on the show. Founder and CEO. And at the time, he's a senior at Science Park High School, envisions a better world for the people. Now, he has since graduated. I was just talking to him before we went on the air. And right now, an app he's working on either that is up is called Circulate. And what is it? The go-to hub for Black businesses and professionals. Here you'll find local shops and services with standards in line with our vision of Black excellence. Why is this important? This platform allows for the circulation of wealth within our close-knit communities, while also opening the door for white and non-Black POC to support Black businesses at a convenience level never seen before. How does this affect me? We ask ourselves, what does a prominent Black middle class look like? How does it impact the community? We got to researching. The short term, a major influx of employment opportunities, increased salaries, graduation rates, and better allocation of funds in education and other government-provided services. The long term, a growing economy that we can actually benefit from. Reductions in over-policed areas, renovations of community buildings, and more investments in our youth. Now, as I said, what caught my attention with Drixxon was the fact that as he was developing these apps, and you've just heard me read from their webpage, he was in high school. And you all know that I am an educator. When I'm not a radio DJ and a radio talk show host, I'm the principal of a school. So needless to say, I was fascinated and inspired at the fact that Drixxon, Mr. Kyser, was putting something together like this at his age. So Drixxon, that's what caught my eye, was the fact that, you know, you're so young and yet you have this entrepreneurial spirit. You're talking some deep talk here, because there's some folks that's like 3, 4, 5, 10 times your age that's not talking that talk yet. So that's what caused me to invite you on the show, because most of the time my guests are authors, but every now and again I will stray away from an author when it's something that's really unique like you, and have folks on. So first off, before we get even going, what you were sharing with me before we started talking on air that you actually graduated now. So you're talking about you're about 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, so I guess I just turned 19 at the beginning of December.
Just turned 19 at the beginning of happy birthday to you. So at the beginning of December, Drixxon just turned 19. So he was worried. There was an app that I had downloaded prior to this that you kind of, you tested it out, and I guess, it didn't do what it wanted to do for you. So you kind of put your attention on Circulate. Which app? What's the name of that? Because I wound up taking it back off my phone after you told me that. What was the name of that one?
Yeah, so that was Be Heard.
That's right, Be Heard. That's it. The name didn't come because it had a cute little bee that would flutter when you open the app up and everything. So, all right, talk to me a little bit. Since you just turned 19, you just graduated high school, and I just read that whole thing on your page, which is like profound, again, for your age group. Where did this whole interest in this area start? I mean, you're 19 and you just graduated high school, but you were doing this in school. Where did this interest in this area start?
Yeah, so I guess mainly in high school, I graduated from the North school system, and I moved there from Plainfield. So I was pretty new to like this super urban life, and just in the little things that I saw, it was just interesting to me how like you could compare an urban environment like ours, like Plainfield or Newark, to somewhere west, like Colorado. I have family out in Denver, and I swear to goodness, there's a rec center in Denver, like every 2 blocks. It's a place where the kids can go play, where you can go after school programs. And it was being out there during the summers. I loved it so much. So that was kind of the basis of, our whole focus on group economics.
So that's interesting. You got a chance to see a different environment, and that now caused you to want to come back to your home environment to try to do something for that as well. Now, when you start talking urban environments, you just heard me say that I'm a principal, and I'm very familiar with Newark because I'm right down the road about maybe 10 miles from you in Patterson. So Patterson is a very urban area as well. The principal, I mean, the school that I lead is an all boys. That's another reason why I was interested in you, because I'm going to have you come talk to my boys either on Zoom or something. I lead an all boys school from grades 3 to 8. It's a leadership school. And so the fact that I came across somebody with your kind of thinking and your age, and I see the way, do you still wear your hair the way it's on your photo there?
Oh, yeah. I trimmed it down a little bit for the most part.
But that's okay. No, there's a reason I'm mad, because whenever I have you speak to my boys, they're going to love you. Because that's the way a good number of my boys wear their hair. They have the same, all of them have their unique hairstyle. So whenever I bring you in front of them, and you young too, they're going to love you. So you went out to West Coast and you had an opportunity to see. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where in education, I try to help folks understand all the time. A lot in terms of education really is about exposure. A lot of our children are not exposed to other areas of the world or other areas of the country, because I have kids who've never left Paterson, New Jersey. Now, not all of them, but there are a few that's never been out of the borders of Paterson, New Jersey. So when you now go out, like Drixxon said he did to the West Coast and got what did you say, Denver?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I've been to Denver before as well. I know that's the Mile High City. So when you get out and get a chance to see how things operate in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, questions begin to come up. So I tell you what, when you saw all of those rec centers on every other block, what kind of questions was going through your mind?
It's really like, how can the city afford this? How can they sustain this? Because in my city, like, if it was this easy, we would have the same thing, right? But our rec center is like down there in Plainfield. I understand what they're trying to do, but it's like in a basement. Like the basketball court is inside like somebody's home. It's not where it's supposed to be. So yeah, questions of what class of people is able to support that. And through asking around my community, one of my relatives, she told me it's the middle class. The middle class give donations through making sure that it gets done. Like they demand that the city has a rec center. And we don't really have a prominent middle class in our communities.
And that's right. See, this is where I'm going with the conversation, because I am super impressed that you're like a visionary. And I'm going to keep stressing your youth, one, because I work with youth, but two, for those in the listening audience, to help them understand you don't have to be old to get something going like this, that what Drixxon is doing. Be Heard, let's give the listening audience, matter of fact, was there an app, were you working on anything prior to Be Heard, or was Be Heard the first?
Be Heard was actually the first app that I ever launched. Okay,
so as you were putting Be Heard together, what was the thinking behind, or what was the end goal behind that particular app? Because it was actually BEE, just like the bug, BE the insect, BEE Heard, HEARD. That was the title of the app. That's what caught my eye. What was your end goal or your vision on that when you were putting it together?
Yeah, so Be Heard, I miss it so much. Well, not to say that it's not still up, but it was really seeing how Black culture dominates social media. We are, that prevalent force. So if we had a place where Black people not only felt safe above everything else, and also controlled what was going out, what was coming in, we felt like that could be a fantastic thing. And it would allow for new conversations to be had. Like a lot of times we have the same back and forth arguments on social media about whether something's racist or if it isn't. But that stops us from being able to engage further. On Be Heard, everybody knows that critical race theory is something that we need to have. Now, what type of conversations can we have once there's, an establishment of that?
Absolutely. And I love the app. I mean, I got on there and I was posting stuff back and forth. And then what I started posting things, and I said, okay, something's going on, because it wasn't taking my photos or something like that. And I LinkedIn, I messaged Drixxon and said, what's going on with Be Heard? And that's when he shared with me that he was actually putting his focus on Circulate. And so now Circulate would be the second app that you're launching?
Yes, sir. And
the goal, I actually kind of read it as I introduced you, but talk to me about, okay, is Circulate a continuation of Be Heard, or is it something that's totally different, or what's your goals and objectives of Circulate?
All right, so Circulate is it's different from Be Heard in and of that it's a Black business discovery service, or I guess platform for that. On the front end, we are that consumers can find and source local Black businesses in their area, and we're trying to make it very easy, very intuitive, very convenient. That's something that you might hear me reiterate when I talk to people. I like convenience above all else because that's what works. And then on the back end of Circulate, we aim for it to be a business-to-business service. So to allow Black businesses to receive reparational benefits when it comes to higher Black-owned businesses. So, whether it's a medium or large size Black-owned business, or if it's for like an actual corporation / company, such as Audible, Prudential, Mars. These are all companies that are headquartered in our home city of Newark.
What goes into, or what coursework or schoolwork or study do you need in terms of app development? Because like my youngest daughter, she's like 27 now, she majored at Dell State in IT, with that information management technology, whatever. And now she works down in Washington for the government. Or she's contracted by the government, but she works for a lot of different people. But she does that whole thing with, with the cybersecurity and all that kind of stuff. That was her thing. She was into that in college. What courses do you need to go into this? Is it science? Is it math? What would somebody with this interest need to, what's their path? So it's a couple questions. One, what does it take to develop an app? And secondly, what did you do to prepare yourself now to be able to do that?
All right. So in order to develop an app, honestly, not much. It would be nice that we pay, you have to pay for, the service for the site to go up. So that could range from $30 a month to $500. But past that, it's really just learning how to develop, how to, be a programmer. I don't study anything related to programming. I'm a philosophy major, but computer science would be the way to go for that.
Okay, so computer science. All right. And you're a philosophy major.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now is your intent to go to college or not?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm a freshman right now at Montclair.
Oh, you're at Montclair State. Oh, you're a Red Hawk. All right, now over at Montclair. Okay, so the reason I asked that question is because even as a principal of the school, I don't automatically assume that every child is going to college. That, there are other options out there. I mean, college is great. It really is. But the reason I asked you that question is because you're already an entrepreneur. So, because some, might say, well, you know what, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, so I'm not worrying about college, which I'm glad you're doing both. But there's tech school, there's, folks can go into masonry, folks can go in the military, folks, as I said, can do entrepreneurship, or they can go to college. It's good that you're doing both only because what you learn in college, even as a philosophy major, is going to strengthen what you're able to do as an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Wow, I'm definitely going to stay in touch with you, especially now that we can do things virtually. I just had one of my students, I linked him up with a classmate of mine who is an aeronautical engineer for Boeing, because the young man came into my office when he was talking to me. He's only like 11. He came and said, I want to be an aeronautical engineer for Boeing one day. And I was like, I did a double take, like, what? I said, I actually know somebody that does that. I'm going to link you up. So he actually came to my office. I got my friend on Zoom, and those two had a chat. This was an 11-year-old talking to an almost 60-year-old, but they were talking the same speak. But that's the wonderful opportunities that we have now. And I'm saying all that to say, and I said it earlier with your hair, my boy's going to love you. I'm definitely going to get you on the screen, and they're going to be able to ask you questions and chat, and you're going to be an inspiration for them because they're used to seeing me. I'm almost 60 myself, so they're used to seeing me, but they're not used to seeing somebody that's like 19 that's saying, look, boys, this is why you need to be serious about your studies. Which leads me to, were you a serious student all the way up, or did you get serious later? Or, because this young man that I was talking about, he gets harassed all the time because he's one of my more intelligent students. So the ones that are a little less intelligent than him, they jealous of him. So they're constantly calling him teacher's pet and principal's pet and, nerd and this, that, and the other. Were you always like a strong student like that, or did computer science or the creation of apps spark your interest in school?
Yeah, so I've always been, I guess you could say, a gifted student. I won't deny it. I was in a lot of gifted and talented programs growing up. I grew up in Piscataway up until the 5th grade, and I loved it. My mother, she used to read to me every single night, books, and I'm sure you know the power of books. I loved it so much, and that kind of made me who I am. But once I got to middle school, it was I moved over to Plainfield, and I I was different. And I did catch a lot of fire from, the way I spoke, the way I wasn't really big into Black culture. Like I was just, I wasn't like them. So I spent a few years, I guess, middle school up until high school, just getting in touch with my Blackness. Because, I made a pact to myself in the 6th grade. I was like, I want to take over this school. So then I did. And I kind of, I was able to accomplish that. I became very popular and this and that. But then I started slacking off in school. So to answer your question, it's really been a combination of both. I've had many years where I was just super smart, super on school, on track, and then many years where I was just being a hooligan.
So you had a little combination of both. All right, so there is a quote. He's an actor. His name is Lakeith Stanfield. I didn't really know him. I saw him in the photograph, but apparently he's been in a few other movies as well. But he had put a quote on Twitter, and what he said was, "To all the little Black kids, it's cool to be smart. Very cool." So when I saw that on Twitter, I made copies of it and gave it to every student in my school. And we had a discussion about that along the lines of so many of our children dumb themselves down. And they're smart, but they don't want their peers to know that in fear of being called bookworm, nerd, Poindexter, whatever. So sounds like you're telling me you kind of had a little bit of both worlds. Which one do you prefer?
Well, it's definitely, I remember my mother, she asked me, because she also noticed it. I think I was maybe the 3rd or 4th grade. She was like, what are you? Like, you do all this cool stuff, but you're also big into books and tech and electronics. And I think I told her I was a cool nerd. It is very cool to be smart.
Yes.
Like the smartest, most influential guys in the world are nerds. And
That's
we may
correct.
not agree with everything they do, but Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they are nerds to the highest degree.
Correct.
So,
you're absolutely right. I read
the
book about Steve Jobs, and you're absolutely right. In terms of, but at the same time, he was such a nerd and knew his stuff so much where that when he did, because he really wasn't interested in college, but whenever he got there, because he was so smart, they kind of allowed him to make up his own courses. So he got there and you know what? I want to take a calligraphy course. Steve Jobs is the one that's responsible for the various fonts that we can use on PC and Mac. It was his ideal to let folks be able to type in different fonts, but that was from his interest in calligraphy. And so he actually, instead of him having to take one of the tougher courses, they say, okay, go ahead, take the calligraphy class. And from that's whenever he came up with the whole notion of fonts. So you're right in terms of, and this is the reason why you caught my attention, because I was one of the smart nerds as well. I was one of those nerdy kids with the glasses, always loved books. Matter of fact, that's why normally, like I said, I have authors on the show, because my show, the title is actually The Reading Circle with Marc Medley. And The Reading Circle, the reason the show was put on, or shall I say the impetus for the show 21 years ago, was the station manager was looking for somebody to do a show on books with the hope that it would encourage people to read more of all ages. I've been on the air ever since, and I've interviewed authors from all around the world. We've, shared books and talked about books from all over. And I tell my students all the time, reading is the foundation of everything else. And I'm not downing or trying to downplay or discount the other subjects, because all of them are important. But reading is the foundation for all the rest of math, science, social studies, you name it. Reading undergirds all of it. If you don't read and comprehend well, you're not going to do too good in the rest of the subject. So, it did my heart good to just hear you say that your mom read to you, because I'm constantly challenging parents to read to their children and have their children read back to them. Have conversations about what did that mean to you. Once you read it, what did it mean? All right. So, again, it did my heart good to hear you say that. And I need you definitely. If I don't get you to the school, I'm going to let my boys listen to the recording, but I'm going to get you there. Like I said, even if it's on Zoom. But again, and total inspiration. I see here you have your sister on there as well. Now, Olivia Kyser, is she older than you or younger than you?
Yeah, so that's my older sister. She's currently senior at Rutgers.
So, okay. So what drove you all? Because I'm really interested in this entrepreneurial spirit, because as African Americans, that's another thing that we're really kind of trying to encourage more of. And the fact that you're starting at this age and at this level means, 10, 15 years down the line, you're going to be that Elon Musk and Jobs and Bezos and all of them. That's going to be you.
I'm working towards it.
No, you really are. Seriously, we're going to speak that into the atmosphere. You really are. The fact that you're tinkering around and doing what you're doing already here. Because like I said, when you came out with Be Heard, you were still in high school. Now, you've graduated since that time, but you were still a high school. Listen, dude, I have kids that the only thing they're interested in is basketball. They literally think they come to school and the only thing they're supposed to do all day long is to go outside on our basketball court. Can we go outside? Can we go outside? Can we go? That's all I hear all day long. No, we're not. It's not time to go outside. You got to do your math class. So that's why I need somebody like you so that they can see. Oh, no, I'm not just, that's not a fantasy. That's not, my imagination. There are people your age who are doing something else besides basketball.
I resonate with them because basketball was actually my dream too. I played AAU. I played for my school teams. I played varsity. But yeah, eventually, I think I think my older brother told me, less than 1% of everybody that wants to be an NBA player makes it to the NBA.
Correct.
It's such a far out there dream that you need to have a backup plan at the very least.
And see, and that's the thing. No one is saying that you can't do it all. That's why just a minute ago when you said, okay, I'm majoring in philosophy, but I'm still doing the entrepreneurship thing. You can do all of it if that's what you're choosing to do. So let's say by chance you did make it to the NBA. There was still nothing, even if you made the NBA, stopping you from doing what you're doing now, working on the apps or majoring in philosophy or whatever. There's no need to limit ourselves to one thing. And there are many people who do, and I'm not mad at them. But see, you're one already. I'm going to call you a young Renaissance man because you're headed that way. You're already kind of in a Renaissance is somebody that does multiple things. All right. You're already headed that way by, I'm going to college. I'm a major in philosophy. I'm already doing the entrepreneurship thing. I'm already seeing the need for African-American businesses to connect and folks to be able to connect with them. So you're already looking visionary. So you're a Renaissance man in the making. You're on the move as a Renaissance man. And that is extremely inspiring because, as you know, the only thing we hear on the news and see on the news are folks look like us in orange jumpsuits or getting shot and killed. So here I'm talking to a 19-year-old young man who's trying to impact the economics of a race through business because, again, business-wise, this is where, unfortunately, African-American businesses get burned. There's a couple of things. In order for them to have their business, usually they have to pay higher for their stock because their sales are slower. And then at the same time, you have folks who look at them come in the store expecting them to give them a break because they look like them. You're like, well, because you're African-American, I'm African-American, can you give me a break? And really the owners are kind of like, no, I can't, because in all actuality, I had to pay higher for my stock than my Caucasian brother because my sales are slower. So it's like this really crazy catch-22 when it comes down to African-American businesses and the need to be able to connect and let folks know that they're there and, how you can get to me. And then you said corporate to corporate. That's even in some respects more important than the consumer to the business. Because they need to learn how to grow and work with each other. There's another young man I'm going to put you in touch with because I had him on the show last year that he developed an app as well. His app is called Melanin People. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not. But his app is Melanin People. And he's kind of sort of doing the same thing. And this is a wonderful opportunity for you to be able to network with him. So on Messenger on LinkedIn, I'll give you his name and information. And you might want to give him a jingle and who knows where that will go. But he kind of has sort of similar. So we get more people that are kind of trying to connect everybody to better. Because really it is about networking. It is about letting folks know, and that's another reason I wanted to get you out here. I want folks to know about Circulate. So tell me a little bit about, what do folks need to do? Is it for the regular person that has an iPhone or an Android that anybody can download, or is it just for businesses?
All right, yeah. So Circulate is for everybody. Right now we are live on Google Play, as in, the app is live. We're planning on submitting it to Apple really like tonight, to be honest with you.
All right.
After this. this new update we just pushed out. So it's for both consumers and businesses. Anybody can be on there. We try to make it as easy and as fast as possible. As you know, you've heard me reiterate in the past. And we're excited to show everybody this new update that we've pushed out.
So it's not on Apple yet?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll be looking for it because I have all Apple products. I have the iPad, I have the iPhone, I have the Apple Watch. I have all Apple products. So I'll be looking for it for sure. Or either, let me know when it's up and running on Apple. Is it in test? Is it in beta form now, or is it actually live?
Now, this is live. So like the website, people can still visit the website. I'm Gen Z, so I'm not really big on going to my browser and going to the website. That's why I do apps.
Right.
But if somebody really wants to check it out, they can just go to circulatetheapp.com. All
right, so it's actually just like it's spelled, Circulate, CIRCULATETHE, app.com. No spaces, everything is there. So how did you decide in terms of philosophy? What led you to that area in terms of college major?
Okay, so I debated varsity while in high school, and it was like, I guess philosophy, it touches a lot in Lincoln Douglas. Lincoln Douglas was the type of debate that I did. So I wanted to get more into that. I wanted to learn more about it. I'm truly, like a literature guy, like math and science that's a gift. And I respect everybody who has it naturally. But like I had to work for that programming to work out. But so philosophy is just, that's what speaks true to me.
How did you come up with the name? Well, for both apps, in terms of Be Heard and Circulate, how did you come up with the names for them?
I'm actually not sure. I think that might have been Olivia's doing. Okay. I know we were talking about it, going back and forth. Be Heard. I think she came up with somebody came up with the hyphen, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. That kind of it's new, it's tech. And then she definitely did the logos for each. So Be Heard with the African B, we love that. And then Circulate, we wanted to have something. Oh yeah, so Circulate was I guess a bit more me. I wanted it to be a good color scheme. So that orange, it speaks good. I wanted blue is the number one color for a majority of reasons. Color science, color theory. But there's already so many blue products on the market. And then we just wanted to circulate the font that we use. We wanted it to scream like we're like all the other places. Like we didn't want to be too overly this or too overly that. So we wanted to be right there in the center, right there in the middle, and to be taken serious as a competitor on the market.
Now, interestingly enough, you just said something that leads me to my next question in terms of being taken serious. Have you ever run into a situation, or do you anticipate running into a situation that your youth will cause, the folks that you're going to present to, will that be an obstacle or a partial or possible obstacle for you, or will it actually work to your advantage since we're talking techie?
Yeah, it definitely, it could be a nuisance sometimes because people immediately, they're like, okay, you're so young. What other projects, are you going to work on in the future? And I'm looking at them and I'm like, this is it. Like, certainly that's $1 billion idea. I want this to be, major. But they kind of look at us like this is like a science project and that we're going to have better and bigger ideas in the future while not taking this one as serious as it should.
Yeah, well, see, and that's where whenever, I saw you were in high school, I was wondering, did Be Heard, or was Be Heard like a project in school that you had kind of like, okay, you know what, hey, this is a pretty cool project, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm really fascinated, again, because I work with you, and everything that we're talking about here, I'm definitely going to push you on when you get with my boys, because, again, they need to hear and they need to see somebody who looks like them that's doing this, and even share your whole thing about basketball. That, I wanted to go to NBA too, and your brother was absolutely right. This is what I tell the guys all the time. I'm not trying to dash your dream. I'm not. But think in terms of the average of what NBA team carries, 20 guys on is it 20? I don't even know if they carry that many.
15 and only 12 can come to games.
Okay, there you go. Bingo. All right. Think about that for a minute. So now if you multiply that number by the number of teams in the league, and then you look at all the young men and girls now around the world who are playing basketball, whether it's organized or on the street or whatever, that all had this NBA dream. It is a very, like the percentage your brother gave you, I mean, it might even be lower than that. I mean, it's minuscule. I mean, the chances are, so he's absolutely right. Okay, if you do make it, you're going to still have to be able to do. And then the other thing I tell the boys is, even if you do make it, you're talking retirement about 35, 36. You still have to do something the rest of your days. So I don't ever try to dash anyone's dream in terms of making NBA, NFL, MLB, whatever. But at the same time, you really do, if all your eggs are in that one basket, there's a good chance you're going to drop that that basket. Those eggs are going to crack, and you really do need to be able to do something else. So again, someone who's listening to the show, she just texted me. She said, "Good morning. I just downloaded the app on Android. I will definitely put my business there." All right, Linda Miller, thank you so much. All right, so again, good morning, very enlightening show. All right now, and then good morning, I just downloaded the app. All right, so folks are listening, and folks are already downloading the app, those that have Androids. I can't wait for you to get it up on Apple, because I will definitely download it. Is Be Heard still, I mean, are you doing anything with that at all? Do I need to download that again? Do I need to put it back on?
Yeah, Be Heard, I'm not doing any active development. Like, I just don't have time to do both.
Right.
But I am still paying to get the servers running, and to keep people's storage there. So like, we do have people that still use it every day, like a social media site. So I want to keep it up for as long as possible until I can start actively, giving it the updates that it needs to have.
So now you keep hearing me talking about, I'm going to have you come talk to my young boys. My boys are a little bit younger than you, because like I said, I have grades 3 to 8. And so my, the oldest child I may have in 8th grade is about maybe 13, 14, somewhere around there. And you're 19. What do you tell, or have you had the opportunity to talk to other young people? Because surely I can't be the only one that see you as kind of like a phenom, based on everything that we always experience. So I'm sure once the word gets out about you, if it's not already out, folks are going to be asking you to come talk to their kids. What are your thoughts in terms of advice, and what are you going to tell them?
Yeah, so I've had a few offers already, things I guess that are lined up for 2022. And everybody that wants me to come speak, that's fantastic. I wish that I had, growing up, like to see somebody who looks like me doing something that I wouldn't think that I could, traditionally do. I guess it kind of taps into your core. It's very inspiring. And I guess what I would tell them, I'm not sure. Anything to relate to them. Try to tell them the truth from my perspective. I'm pretty A-okay at public speaking. I love the spotlight. So to really get into the nitty-gritty of what I think that their problems may be compared to what my problems were growing up. Because, like, it's... sorry, I thought someone was at the door. I feel like there are problems that we have, and with proper advice, you can solve those problems. It's kind of just like that. No, absolutely right. In terms of, and again, yeah, you will be in demand. And yes, you do speak well. That's another thing. I teach public speaking at the college level. And right now, you're going to have it. Montclair is going to require you to take it somewhere along your journey. Because public speaking has become required courses in colleges, because businesses started going back to colleges saying, you're sending me all these folks who can't even communicate. And you're sending me folks who can't speak. I need folks who can present my product or present their ideas. So most colleges have made public speaking mandatory. So yes, you do speak well. And this is coming from one who teaches the course. So you're absolutely right. And the reason why a connection ought to be made, because like I said, it's one thing for me who's nearly 60 to be saying it. It's another thing with someone who's wearing what do they call that in your hair? Twists or locks, or what do you call them? So I have locks, but I don't wear them like traditional locks, in the back. Right now I'm wearing them like a mohawk. Okay, but my point is, I see my kids with those same hairstyles. So now when you come aboard or you talk to them and they see you, they're going to be blown away. Like, whoa, wait a minute.
someone who looks like me, who wears their hair like me, and now he's talking and sounding like the 60-year-old. That's going to blow them away, because in terms of, look, boys, yes, no, you are going to have to read. No, you are going to have to study. You are going to have to put the time in. Now, I'm not saying you can't play. I can't say you can't go rogue every now and again. I'm not saying you don't want to go to the NBA. However, these are the things you're going to have to do, and this is what I'm doing. I'm not much older than you, and when I started, I was probably near your age. That's kind of like a message they need to hear, because I'm big on exposure. My school, like I said, is a leadership school, all boys, very small school. It's the closest I'm going to get to having my own school, and the closest they're going to get to going to private school. So that's why I had the opportunity to bring in speakers all the time. I mean, prior to the pandemic, I was having 2 and 3 people into the building a week of all career choices that were coming in, and they all look like them. I had everything from attorneys to pilots to business administrators to assistant superintendents to chief custodians, you name it. My boys were exposed to it. So when I come across people like that, that's one like you. One of the first thing I do is, invite you on the radio show, and then it's like, look, I need you to talk to my kids, because it really is about exposure. Going back to your opening story about Denver. About going out to Denver and say, well, wait a minute. Because, see, that's why we're always talking, like you talking critical race theory a couple of minutes ago. That's why we're always talking equity and, being equitable and those type of things. Because there is a big inequity when you get out of your urban area, you really get a chance to see it.
Yeah.
So I'm big on exposing my young men to as many people from all age brackets, from all occupations and careers as possible, so that they might say, some of them may turn around and say, you know what, I want to be a Drixxon. I want to be like Drixxon. Then that's all that is. I'm like, look, great. If that's what you want to do. If this is going to be the spark, if this is going to be the match that will get them saying, whoa, Drixxon told me that if I want to be this, I got to do that. Hey, then so be it. So, all right, I am thoroughly, for those of you in the listening audience, I hope you've been with me since 6, certainly since 7. My guest this morning is Drixxon Kyser. He is 19, and he is the founder and CEO. Now, listen to this, folks. He has founder and CEO behind his name already at 19. All right, we were talking about the Elon Musks and the Steve Jobs and the Bezoses and all those folks. That's what they were kind of doing, like in those age groups. They were, they weren't running around here thinking about all this other nonsense that most kids think about, myself included. They were thinking visionary. And that's what Drixxon is doing. Founder and CEO. And at the time he put the website together, he was a senior at Science Park High School, but he has since gone on. He is now at Montclair State University. He is a Red Hawk. He's right here within the state. So I'm going to have you come in live. And since you're right up there at Montclair, because my school is right down Valley Road, at the end of Valley Road. And you make a left on 19, and then making a couple other turns, and you'll be right at my school's door. But if I can't get you live, I will definitely get you on the computer on Zoom. So, after Circulate, what are you thinking about? Once that jumps off, what's next?
Not sure. We have a few products, or a few thoughts on products that I can't really disclose.
No, that's okay. Don't get into secrets yet.
Yeah, but Circulate, it's going to be a long journey. Because everything, like right now, we're telling people just the base layer of what it is, front end and back end. But as it grows, we have a whole bunch of stuff lined up that we could only start to push out when we have, the proper resources. So eventually, we have a lot of ideas that are going to take the world by storm. I can't spoil. But
no, that's okay. Because again, you said another key word. Are you crowdfunding?
Yeah, so we're crowdfunding. Right now, the page is still up, but we're not actively trying to push it because a lot of people have told us that it's a bad idea.
Well, okay. So then, if you don't crowdfund, how do you intend to fund, or is it will folks have to pay to be able to connect with each other, or what are your thoughts in terms of sustaining? Of how do you intend to sustain it financially?
Yeah, that's the question right now. We circulate the service, like to use our discovery service. That'll always be free. I'm never going to have that behind a paywall. And I don't intend to put like Google ads or like intrusive pop-up ads on the site ever because I don't like them. So right now we're trying to figure out a service that we could sell to people and to businesses. We're calling it Circulate Premium. It'll allow you to we're still, getting out the kinks. But if we do circulate premium rights, then we'll be able to go and market that out, not only locally, but across the nation. TikTok, one of our favorite places to be, and we have a large audience there.
Wow. I am super impressed. I really am. And, like I said, I'm so glad we're having this morning. Because like I said, I'm looking at the feedback, and I didn't go on Facebook this morning because normally I will go on Facebook and be doing both Facebook and talking, but I hadn't logged on. So, but I know when I put yours up, because like I said, I record them and I put them up on my YouTube channel, and then I e-blast them all over my social media sites. So you can see yourself on LinkedIn and everywhere else. If not before today's end, certainly before tomorrow ends, before the weekend is up. Most likely, because this one is so good, it's going to be up today. But I am really, like I said, just, for those of you, this is what I tell folks all the time, because most of the time, many instances, kids have no idea what they want to do when they grow up. None. And that's okay. I'm not judging it one way or the other, because we just don't know. But the most successful people, and I was having this conversation yesterday, the most successful people are people who have an idea when they are young. And the example I always use is the saxophone player Kenny G. Kenny G didn't know what a saxophone was till one day he was watching the Ed Sullivan show and somebody was playing a saxophone. And he saw that and fell in love with it and said, that's what I'm going to do. And everything he did from that point forward was something dealing with the saxophone, whether it was learning how to play it, taking the lessons, going to school for it, whatever. Second person I always used was our former president, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton said from the point he shook John F. Kennedy's hand that he was going to be president of the United States. And everything he did, from his coursework to his wife's selection to being governor to everything he did from that point of shaking John F. Kennedy's hand forward, was to get him to be president of the United States. So I'm sharing all those stories to say most folks, if you look at Steve Jobs, same thing. Steve Jobs hooked up with Steve Wozniak, and they were kids. And they were playing around, tinkering, and they came up with this thing, their computer there, and they were, they were the whiz kids or whatnot, just like Drixxon is doing now. They were in the garage. Bezos started. It was a book. He was selling books out of his garage and took it into Amazon. So you just never know when you have somebody with the mindset. And I don't come across it that often of somebody your age. That's why. When you have somebody with Drixxon's mindset at this age, there just is no telling where he and his sister and all the other folks who work with them are going to go. Is your whole team like your age, like 19 or 23, 24, 25, or do you have some older folks on there?
Right now our team is really just my sister and I, like relatives help
okay.
There. But yeah, we're looking to, if we could get funding, secured, or just a steady stream of income, then we will be looking to branch out and hire some more help.
All right. Well, but like I said, man, I applaud you. I applaud your sister. I applaud what you all are doing. I applaud the mindset because, again, we were talking about the sports thing, and I have nothing against sports. I watch football every Sunday. But for African Americans, for too many of them, they think that's the only way out of the hood, that's the only way out of the ghetto, that's the only way out of the urban area. They think that's the only way, when the truth of the matter is not. Now, when Circulate takes off, you may wind up being a millionaire. Who knows? Circulate or either Be Heard, and you just, because at least you're doing it. And if nothing else, one of the things they're always talking about is this whole notion of having passive income. So let's say, for example, with your philosophy degree, where do you kind of see that going? What do you intend to do as a career, or is working the apps and the career, and the philosophy is just nice to have? What are your thoughts on that? Because folks, we kind of call it a side hustle. Or folks talk about passive income. In other words, I have a job, but I have something that's going on its own that's still making me money.
Yeah. So entrepreneurship is my number one, definitely, but I'm still staying on the school course. Because philosophy leads me into law school. I intend to go to law school, become a lawyer, pass the bar, this and that. Just because, you always need to have not only just a plan. I would be very happy if everyone I came across just had a plan. But for me, I also need to have a backup plan and a backup plan to that plan. So I'm trying to work on, different things tangibly.
See, that's what I told you, a Renaissance man. You see, you are. Look, I majored in philosophy. I intend to go to law school. You got it all mapped out. I am telling you, there are very few, well, old or young for that matter, that I know that has it mapped out like that. Now, where did that come from? Like, kind of like your upbringing, or is that just kind of like, that's the way I operate, that's the way I think?
The way I think is definitely, that's a question I have for myself too. I look at, I always tell people I had a perfect childhood. My mother, fantastic. The whole reading to me every night was like, I look back at my childhood and I always smile. I was raised with both grandparents in the house. And we had a lot of fun, and we went to libraries like every week, and I would always pick out, like, I had a limit as to how many books I could pick out because, that's the library's limit. I would run through that. I loved it so much. So I'll never
the same way.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laughing. Keep going, because I was the same way. How many can I take? 5. Okay, give me 5. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And, try to get like the biggest ones, the best ones, because I'd stay up late at night reading. I'd be in class reading. And man, just thinking about it now, I'm smiling ear to ear. So I feel like I was put in a very comfortable position to be able to have such a nice childhood. Sure, there were things going on in my mother's life, my family's life that was, like they were going through their own hardships and struggles, but they made sure that I was having a good time. So I'm never, I'll always use that as like, I'm thankful for that.
I know that's right. And it's interesting that, for you, a good time was at the library. Because, I have, again, I have a couple of kids that's their good time. But most of my kids, you say the library, you think I was like putting a curse on them. Like, no, we go into the library. They're like, back. I'm like, I don't like the crucifix. Like, no, library. but I have a few kids. They are actually good kids. That's why I'm keeping folks in front of them. And I am definitely, when it's convenient for you, you let me know and I'll make it happen. If I have to if we have to stop classes for the day in order for you to be able to speak to them, whatever time you say, the only reason I would not stop if they were doing a state assessment or something, but anything short of that, whatever day and time you tell me, that's the day we're going to make it happen. Because thankfully in my school, I have that kind of flexibility. I've been principal of really large schools where I didn't have that kind of flexibility, but with the school I'm in now, I have that kind of flexibility. I can just halt everything. Look, Drixxon is here. We stopping. So I'm definitely going to make that happen in 2022, sometime after we get back from the holiday break. But I'm sitting here blown away by you. God bless you. God bless your parents and the time that you had as a child that's led you to this. I wish you nothing but Godspeed and much success. What I do, and we've kind of been doing it throughout the show, but what I do near the end of the interview is I actually turn my mic off and let you promote as much as you want in terms of how folks can get in touch with you, the app, so forth. The only thing you can't say is the dollar amount that you can, in terms of pricing or anything like that. That if they get in touch with you, you all work that out. But on the air, that's what we just don't get into dollar amounts. But anything short of that, you want to shout anybody out, you want to shout your mom out, your sister out, whoever, you can do that. Let folks know again your website, let folks know what the app's named, so forth and so on. So I'm gonna turn the mic off and I'm gonna turn it over to you. And once you're done with that, we're pretty much done. I enjoyed it more than you can imagine for so many different reasons. All right.
All right, perfect. So look at me, I'm on the air right now. Shout out to my mom. Shout out to my pops. Shout out to the rest of my family. Shout out to Olivia. I bet she's sleeping like a baby right now. You can find me personally, Drixxon Kyser on Instagram. You can just type in Drixxon, I should pop up. And you can find Circulate, our company page on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Facebook at Circulate the app. But if you just type in Circulate, you should pop up. We have a lot of followers. In terms of supporting us, we're definitely trying to figure out a product or service. But if you would really like to, give to us now, we do have our GoFundMe. It's still up. You can find that at GoFundMe.com/black-tech-startup. So GoFundMe.com/black-tech-startup. And then we have, if you didn't catch that, on our Instagram page, we just have the link right there, conveniently. So I've had a pleasure on the show today. I would definitely love to stop by the school in person, because I feel like that's where we'll really be able to, maximize the impact we have on the audience, on the kids. And I'm really glad I made it here today.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to make that happen. And you said that link. You know what? I did say it was going to be the end, but I do have another question because whenever you were giving your name, what is the meaning of Drixxon, or is there a meaning of Drixxon? Because that's a unique name. I mean, like you said, that's what spurred the question. Because you said, well, if you put in Drixxon, it's going to come up. You know, that's a unique name. Anything going on with that, or is there a meaning to it?
Yeah, Drixxon actually means nothing. It is a completely made-up name, and I love it for that. If I want to make something up and say it means this or means that, cool. But I kind of live by the philosophy of, like, I don't want to do titles and roles. I'm kind of, at least right now, I'm not too big on. Like, I don't need to tell myself that I'm a king or that I'm the best ever to know that that's who I am. So, you know, a lot of people say my name means this and I'm that, but it's like, chill. You're not, I want my actions to show. I don't want to trick myself into believing that I am this or am that, or that I actually living it and proving it.
I know that's right. So again, your GoFundMe account, you said the link is in your Instagram? Because if not, what I normally do with my guests is I usually wind up downloading or buying their book. But in your case, if you give me the GoFundMe link, I'll just donate to the GoFundMe. I'll donate
that'll make my day. That'll make my week and my month.
Okay, I tell you what. So if you can message me on LinkedIn with the actual link, or either I can go to your Instagram, one or the other. But before the day is out, I will have donated to your GoFundMe account.
Makes me very happy.
All right.
Happy to hear.
So I tell you what, Drixxon, that brings us down to the end of our wonderful chat and conversation. Inspirational, encouraging, and all of the above. For those of you out there who are older than Drixxon, I'm like 3 times Drixxon's age. For those of you, that's, again, a testament that it can be done. It's never too late. You can always start. And Drixxon is starting early. But for those of us who have not started, if we do have dreams that we want to do or things that we're interested in, go ahead and go ahead and launch. Get out there. Go ahead and get started, all right? And for any of you who have children, you know, in Drixxon's age group or younger or what have you, this is yet again an example of, it can be done. All right. So, Drixxon, like I said, before the day is out, I will have donated to your GoFundMe account. We will stay in touch. I will get you the young man's name who did Melanin People. And we will get in touch in terms of, you know, when you want to come over to the school. All right.
All right. That sounds fantastic. Thank you again. Thank you for reaching out to me, for putting me on the show, and for working with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking me up on the offer and coming out this morning. Like I said, because I'd already told the audience, I do have a guest lined up, but he's a teenager, so I'm not sure if he's going to make it happen or not. But now that after talking to you and seeing what a responsible teenager you are, then you wasn't going to miss. Just after talking to you now, I know you would not have missed it. Like, okay, I just haven't met you other than online, other than on LinkedIn, other than on, seeing the apps. But now after having talked to you, no question, you wouldn't have missed it. So you have all of my trust now in terms of, if whatever you say you're going to do, you're going to do. So if you're telling me you come into the school, I'm going to be counting on that, and we'll make the date. All right?
All right. Sounds perfect.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great holiday. Have a great rest of this weekend and week, and we'll be in touch.
All right. God bless.
God bless you as well. Thank you. Wow. That, I tell you, for this to be my last show of the year, that one wowed me. That one wowed me.